of this tornado warning. As Brian mentioned, this is a radar indicated rotation in this thunderstorm as it makes its way through Milwaukee and out over into Lake Michigan. Very high likelihood that we had the lake breeze interacting with this particular thunderstorm cell. And when you get that couplet, I mean, things can change in a moment. So that's why National Weather Service went ahead and issued this particular warning as the storm continues out over Lake Michigan. We'll tell you the warning text calling for hail that's actually under 3/4 of an inch. We want an inch diameter hail, as a matter of fact, for a severe thunderstorm warning. So the real concern with this particular warning that is in place right now, yes, for the city of Milwaukee down towards Oak Creek, is that radar indicated rotation. Again, just scrolling through, I got my laptop here off screen. We have been hearing of reports of the siren sounding in the city of Milwaukee as well as Wauwatosa. Have not seen or heard of any visual confirmation of a tornado on the ground in the city of Milwaukee or Oak Creek. However, when you have this thunderstorm, the storms that we've had so far this afternoon, been producing some hail, some gusty winds, some influence perhaps from that lake breeze, able to generate a little bit of some low-level rotation on this particular thunderstorm. So again, warning continues for city of Milwaukee, portions of Milwaukee County here. This particular warning until 5:45. So we've got another 10 minutes on this. Brian?
Yeah, about 10 minutes or so. What I have here behind me, this is the Racine sky cam here. This is on top of the courthouse building, downtown Racine. Here's wind point. This would be the vicinity that we would be watching. Now, it's not the best picture. There's likely some rain that's muddling things up here, but I would say, pretty safe to say from this view on the south end of the storm, if we had a massive tornado on the ground, we would be seeing a little bit more of a lowering here. And as of right now, I am not seeing that on our Racine Skycam. Now, granted, this is, we're shooting about at least 10, 15 miles out into the distance here, so it's not providing us with the best shot. Folks, again, we're going through a lot of the technicalities with all this, but bottom line, if you are in South Milwaukee, you need to be in your basement. If you don't have a basement, make it your safe spot. Make it that spot that is on the lowermost room of your residence, whether that be the first floor. Again, please stay away from windows. Get as many walls as you can in between you, just in case this thing is actually producing a tornado with this. I want you folks to be extra safe. Again, that tornado safe spot. If you're watching us and you're at work, hopefully you know where that tornado safe spot is. If you do not have a basement, at this point in South Milwaukee, we don't want you leaving to go to your neighbor's house because this thing is like right on top of you. You have to be in that innermost room of your house. And if that happens to be an apartment building, get away from windows, go out into the hallway. That's better if there's no windows there as well. Tornado warning goes into effect, or it's in effect, for the next 10 minutes or so, but this thing is moving pretty quickly. Brendan, what are you noticing?
So we've got the velocity imagery here. I'm going to share some good news. Last couple of scans here have really broadened out the rotation. Now, this is storm relative velocity, so we subtract the forward motion of the storm. We're one with the storm. You can see last couple of scans here becoming much more broad. The other thing I want to mention, Weather Service saying now that this area of rotation is starting to move out over Lake Michigan, we are going to consider expiring that tornado warning here momentarily. So the threat to land at this point, Niz, is starting to transition off of land and out over. That's
great. I'm going to show exactly what you're showing behind you, and I'm going to slow it up here, and this is more good news. As Brendan mentioned, they will be dropping the tornado warning, but let's go back in time. This is very important because he switched over to storm relative velocity. This is such a fast-moving storm that actually this will pinpoint more of that rotating part of the storm. And you can see how it was rotating pretty decent farther west. This was about 15, 20 minutes ago. Now look at the picture here. As we speed up to what's happening now, you see how you lose those brighter colors? You lose that clash of the greens and reds coming together. This is hopefully a scenario, guys, that we can say that safely that this tornadic part of the storm is dissipating and also moving out over Lake Michigan. Steve, you got a question?
Yeah, I just got off the phone with the guys in the tower at Mitchell Airport.
Okay.
That you'd imagine they'd have a pretty good view of whatever's going on to the south of them. It's just blinding rain is all they can see. They weren't even aware our tornado warning was up just to the south of them in the tower, but it's just blinding rain in all directions.
That makes sense because, again, the tornadic part of the storm, I don't mean to chuckle, but again, right here, if there was a tornado, it's pretty much centered where we have the highest rainfall rates right now. So if there was a tornado, this thing would be wrapping up inside that rain shaft.
And the good news is we've been able, that tornado warning has now been expired. I do want to show you some of the video we're getting in from I-94. Torrential downpours with this. I mean, we've got a solid inch and a half of what we call precipitable water in the atmosphere. So that means we've got a lot of moisture for these storms to tap into. But again, the good news, the velocity imagery here, the rotation really broadening out, now moving out over the lake, and just about a minute ago, Weather Service able to expire the warning.
Yeah, the warning, the tornado warning has been canceled now by the National Weather Service. So good news there. Of course, we're going to keep you updated, guys. We're going to let you know if we end up with any damage with this, if there actually was a tornado that briefly spun up. But all indication as of right now, it was just a warning with no tornado touchdown. Let's hope that holds to be true. Are we going to be heading back over to the anchors, or are we wrapping things up here? All right, we're going to wrap things up. I appreciate you folks. We're going to get you over to the news, and of course, we'll keep you updated here with Storm Team 4.
Very seriously as we are continuing to track this tornado warning. Thanks, Steph. As Steph mentioned, it's really looking to be moving towards Franklin. It is not yet into South Milwaukee and Oak Creek, but if you are in any of those towns, this is going to be heading your way. The skies are very dark. While there is not an actual report of a tornado on the ground or any funnel seen, it is radar indicated right now as this rotation, which you can see here, this transition of the green to red coming together, that has intensified, indicating that there is at least rotation in the storm spinning. The question is, can that travel from the clouds to the ground? That is what we are tracking. If you have any reports, please send this in. But moving east about 25 miles an hour. So we're continuing to track again South Milwaukee, Oak Creek for the main areas. We originally saw just some stronger winds within this coming out west, but as it's moved closer to the lake, interacted with that lake breeze, started to rotate that storm a little bit. That is why that tornado warning has been issued until 5:45. So based on this last scan, it looks like it might be a little bit broader, Steph.
Yes,
but
definitely.
Broader is going to be better. That means the rotation is not as strong. It could be more favorable north of Oak Creek now for having some very gusty winds, 50, 60 miles an hour, not out of the question, but the rotation threat is looking to be a lot less, which is good. We still have that tornado warning until 5:45, but north of Oak Creek is where we're watching again some of that rotation heading into areas of South Milwaukee. So again, if you're just tuning in with us, Oak Creek towards South Milwaukee, Franklin area, get into your safe spot. Better be safe than sorry. Even though our scans are looking a little bit better and improving, at least in terms of our spin in the atmosphere, you do want to get into your safe spot, get away from the windows. Even if there is a tornado, you might not see it, and the strong wind gusts with this could definitely blow out the glass in your window as well. So you don't want to be looking for anything outside. Get into your lowest area of your building or the most central location and put as many walls in between you and the outdoors. We are still going to track this again as it's moving closer to the lake. That means the end time on this will be in just a short while. I don't know if we can put a track on this, Steph, to kind of see where this rotation is and when is this storm going to move over the lake. I know there's not a lot of towns impacted on this, but would you say, at least by the rate it's going right now, maybe another 10 minutes or so is going to be our biggest thing? Right now, as we're looking at our clock here, 5:32, this goes until 5:45. So it is not a very long warning, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be taken seriously. We really need to watch areas still around Oak Creek and north. That is where we are tracking some of this very weak rotation that is just to the south of South Milwaukee. So that's where we're going to be watching that, continuing to stick on air with you to try to keep you safe along Highway 32, south of South Milwaukee, heading towards Oak Creek. We are more than likely going to have some stronger winds coming out of this on the south portion of this storm near Oak Creek. But thankfully, as it looks right now, I don't think we're getting any new reports. Because it is closer to the lake, that means we'll have a shorter duration for this thunderstorm, which could be producing a tornado to be on the ground. Going to move over the lake again in about just a couple of minutes. We have at least another 10 to 16 minutes on this warning, but we are continuing to track this for the potential of a tornado. We are not seeing, again, any other storms at this time that are dealing with tornado warnings. In fact, most of the activity, which Stephanie has been covering earlier today, it has just been bringing heavy rain, maybe some small hail, but it's really been the rain, the ominous skies, and some gusty winds associated with these storms. We have at least a special storm statement or special weather statement around some storms, which most of these have had today, but with the flare up of that lake breeze, with the winds coming out of the storm, that is what triggered some rotation as we are looking at southern portions of Milwaukee County. So again, still having that tornado warning going until 5:45. Oak Creek to South Milwaukee, those are the areas we are focusing on most to still have some broader rotation right now. Steph, do you know if we have any hail within this as we are looking at our Vil tracks here? Okay, so we still definitely could have some smaller hail and gusty winds within this, even though, again, that tornado threat is looking to be low. The torrential rain could be one of those factors that really reduces visibility as well. So if there is some rotation and there is a potential funnel, you probably wouldn't see it. You will want to get inside, again, with some small hail. This isn't looking to be anything substantially large, but it's the hail, the heavy rainfall that will blind your vision visibility-wise, as well as the velocity. Let's switch back over to the actual storm right now for our radar. Notice this isn't just impacting Oak Creek, but this is stretching up towards Milwaukee and even to the western portions of the county along Highway 45. Some intense storms there. Let's go back over to the velocity real quick, Steph, just to see if we have a new scan or update on this. Right now, this, I would say, it looks to be very broad, right, as you're mentioning. Oak Creek looking to have the brighter reds with some stronger wind gusts there, but we're watching right here this slight indication where the rotation is north of Oak Creek along Highway 32. South Milwaukee, you are going to be the ones that really should be more concerned with this because that rotation is closer to you. So if you are in South Milwaukee and just tuning in, we have this tornado warning for 10 more minutes. Thankfully, it has been weakening, but because we have had that lake breeze causing a quick spin up within this storm, it is going to be a concern for the potential of a tornado that could be forming. Now, Steph, do you have any updates that you are seeing on your end from the National Weather Service or in general of this storm as it's moving through?
You know, no actual updates from the National Weather Service, so all eyes obviously still on this storm, but I believe we have a couple of cameras we can probably show in this area. Howard, our producer, I don't know if you guys still have that camera up, but it looks like this is Drexel, I-94 at Drexel. Obviously very ominous clouds, dark skies. I'm sure the rain is about to become very heavy. It doesn't look terrible as far as the rain goes right now, but again, this is one of the spots that's really dealing with this storm as we speak. And I'm sure our Milwaukee cams probably look pretty similar too, if any are looking south. Obviously, the extent of this storm is mainly south of the Milwaukee area, the Milwaukee metro, but Oak Creek to South Milwaukee, as you've been talking about, Lisa, I mean, that's the spot.
Yeah, and it's very dark by looking at those cameras right now. Traffic moving a little slower. And one thing I want you to notice, we don't necessarily have flat terrain here everywhere. We have a lot of trees. We have a lot of structures. So with rotation and the concern of a potential tornado within this storm, you're likely not going to see much because we do have a lot in terms of structures as well as vegetation out there. So the rain as it moves through could be extremely heavy. But here's the good news. As we're watching this loop, you'll notice that we see these bright reds and greens coming together right near Oak Creek, and then we kind of see it fizzle out. That means this storm is weakening as it is now pushing slightly further east, while there still, again, could be possibly some gusty winds just to the east of Oak Creek. The overall rotation really does not look to be existent as much as what I'm looking at here on our screen. We're still going to have the thunder and lightning, which will be very loud, the heavy rain, the hail potential within this. But Steph, I'd say this is definitely an improvement over the past couple of minutes, all showing good signs for people who might be in their safe spot right now, might be tuning in wondering what's going on. Here's that update. We have had a tornado warning, especially areas of Franklin moving towards South Milwaukee and Oak Creek. That is until 5:45, but we have drastically lost that rotation within the storm, which is great news for us. That really limits that potential for any tornado or funnel to form at all, and then lessens the risk for people who are in South Milwaukee and near Oak Creek. Now, again, that being said,
if I could cut you off real quick, Lisa, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely, Steph.
As you just talked about, the rotation is now out over the lake, so the National Weather Service did actually just cancel the warning a little bit early, which is great news. Set to expire at 5:45, but now, because all of that rotation, as you were just talking about, is now basically out over the lake, that warning has been allowed to expire.
Perfect. Well, there's our update. Let's take the radar one last time,
Sure.
so at least people can kind of see what's going on. That warning, I know the red box is still there, is expired, so no longer dealing with a tornado warning, as Stephanie just mentioned, but we are still going to be dealing with some strong thunderstorms moving through the southern half of Milwaukee County, especially still over Oak Creek and heading to the border of areas near Kenosha County, so and Racine area. So you want to keep in mind that we are still going to have a stronger storm moving through. Hail, gusty winds, lightning, torrential rainfall at times is possible, but this is going to be over the lake before we know it. If we could zoom out a little more, Steph, just giving everyone else a quick update of what's going on elsewhere. Notice we don't have much activity. We are watching a couple storms forming from Fond du Lac into northern portions of Sheboygan County, but there's a lot of dry areas off to the west. We are still watching these little pop-up cells, so you want to be weather aware through the evening hours until about 10 o'clock tonight. We still can have a couple stronger storms, not ruling out the chance for even a severe storm. The primary threats would be for hail and gusty winds, but as we just saw here, we had a tornado warning. So the tornado threat, while it's low, it is not zero. You just want to be weather aware through the day today. Again, we're going to continue to watch anything that pops up, but the good news, that tornado warning has ended. Steph and I will be here watching the storms. We'll have more news and weather after the break.